Yo, what's up? Welcome to the first Kinda Funny Games Daily for Thursday, November 9th, 2023. I'm one of your hosts, Blessing Adio Adrian. You're joining me is the Lord Core Poppy himself, Tim Boyan Geddes.
It's really sad. We had some computer problems, so we just had about the first 10 minutes of Games Daily that we recorded just gone. Forever. We had great conversations about it being November 9th, the 19th anniversary of Halo 2.
Talked about GTA.
We
Talked
did.
About,
it lives on YouTube at least.
Yeah, it lives.
Yeah,
it lives
on the internet.
But like,
somewhere.
we're gonna probably take that down, right?
Yeah, who knows?
You know, if somebody quickly downloads it and then uploads it to the Reddit, then it lives forever.
It lives forever.
Kind of like
wink,
Halo
wink.
5.
Yeah.
Whoa. Oh, look at this, Greg Miller.
Computer problems. Who would have thought?
Oh, the agency in which he walked into this room.
Like, as soon as he heard computer, like, fucking gets up from his desk and beelines straight to Tim's microphone. Like, he's being
God,
activated like the Winter Soldier.
You know, we were talking about GTA 6 for the first time, me and you.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not the last time.
No.
At least first time since it's been announced that Rockstar is going to put out a trailer in the next month, which is absolutely wild.
Insane.
And we're talking a little bit about like the challenges ahead of them. And I think something I was thinking about that I want to talk to you about, Bless, is the similarities between Grand Theft Auto and Eminem. All right?
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
And let me say it this way. My name is
Yeah.
The Real Slim Shady.
Mm-hmm.
Without me,
Yeah.
just lose it.
Mm-hmm.
We made you.
You may. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a little worried. You get what I'm saying here?
I get what
There's
you're
a
saying.
shock value associated with
I get
here's
what
the
you're
big
saying.
single, here's the thing. And I feel like at a certain point, that gimmick runs dry. And then it's just like, oh, hey, you're still just doing the same thing you did before. It's prettier and sounds like more like sonically vibrant than before.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a little corny.
I get you. And I think you're on to something in terms of like the subject matter and how do we keep the same level of energy, right? Like as GTA, can you keep the commentary? Can you keep the parody? Can you keep the humor? Or is it going to feel old after a while? I think the difference with GTA and Eminem is that I think GTA has only increased in its quality, right? Whereas Eminem kind of deteriorated after a while. And I know Eminem fans are going to get real mad at me for that one.
I mean,
but
that's kind of my point, though.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm saying is I feel like we've had all of the wins, and then it just, they were started becoming the L's, even though he was just doing the exact same thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think another one to throw in there, right, on a different point, you know, we have Mass Effect Andromeda. We have Cyberpunk 2077 at launch. We have Fallout 76, right? Like, there is a trend for, and I was talking to Greg about this, a week or so ago, about who's the next one? Who's going to be the next big developer to screw up and put out just a dud? And the thing I told him, I was like, yo, if GTA 6 comes out and it's an 8 out of 10, right? If it's an 80 on Metacritic, that's a failure. Like that's,
it'll still sell astronomically well.
of course.
But
But like when you're coming off of GTA 3 and GTA Vice City and San Andreas and 4 and 5, like,
I know.
come on,
I mean,
bro.
come on.
Come on.
Yeah.
And so, but you know, I'm excited for it. It's gonna be good.
Dude,
It's gonna be good. It's gonna
I'm
be good.
excited, and more than anything, I believe. Like,
Yeah.
I have a lot of questions. I have a lot of hesitations. I'm interested in what it could be, what it needs to be. All of those things. I'm like, damn, the expectations might be higher than any game ever, period. But I expect them to pull it off.
Yeah, because they're rock stars.
The Rockstars, baby.
Today's stories include PlayStation delaying half of their live service games, WB going all in on live service, and more, because this is Kinda Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday at 10 a.m. live right here on youtube.com/kindafunnygames and twitch.tv/kindafunnygames. We run you through the nerdy news you need to know about. If you're watching live, you can correct us when we get stuff wrong by going to kindafunny.com/you're wrong. If you don't want to watch live, you can watch later on youtube.com/kindafunnygames, or you can listen later on podcast services around the globe by searching for Kinda Funny Games Daily. Remember, you can use Epic Creator Code Kinda Funny on all Epic Store and Epic in-game purchases like Rocket League and Fortnite to help support the channel. To be a part of the show, head to kindafunny.com/KFGD to write in with your questions, squad ups, and more. And remember, patreon.com/kindafunny will get you the show ad-free plus a bevy of bonus content. Let me tell you, I've actually been listening to a lot of Eminem in the last week, like just by coincidence. And I started off from Slim Shady and went into Marshall Mathers LP and went into Eminem Show. And I know like a lot of people talk about his first couple albums being the classic albums or whatever. A lot of people like point to Eminem Show as like the start of the dip. Eminem Show is fucking phenomenal.
Hell no, dude. Eminem Show is debatably, like, people don't want to say this, debatably the strongest album.
It's like, I know it's like that's the breakout, like almost like his most pop album in a way, right? Like that's the one where he was already famous and he's
The one he was saying goodbye to Hollywood.
yeah, he
was
was
a
saying
lie.
goodbye to Hollywood. It's almost like his graduation. Like I get it, but this is some real good.
Oh,
shit.
yeah, dude.
Oh my goodness, say what you say. How you say it whenever you saying it. Just remember how you said it when you was spraying it. So who you playing with? Oh my goodness. Shout out Eminem Show. Housekeeping for you. A new episode of the Kinda Funny Xcast is up right now, featuring the one and only Andrea Rene. The crew talks about what they want from GTA. We got 2 special presentations in. Barrett ranks every game in the Persona franchise. Got GTA on the mind. And Greg pitches WWE 2K as a live service. These are here because of your support. So come watch them on youtube.com/kindafunnygames. And then also, we've seen your comments and are happy to announce that Nerf Alice's iconic shirtless Spider-Man tee will be the premium collector's item this month. You can get yours at patreon.com/kindafunny. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Jackson Hampton, Delaney Twining. Today we're brought to you by Shady Rays and Rocket Money, but we'll tell you about that later. For now, let's begin with what is, and forever will be, the Roper Report. It's time for some news. We have 8 stories today.
A baker's dozen.
Starting with what a trash fire.
So sad.
Starting with our number one, Sony confirms it's delayed half of its 12 planned live service games. This is Andy Robinson at Video Games Chronicle. Sony Interactive Entertainment has halved the number of live service games it plans to release over the next few years, it is confirmed. SIE had previously said it planned to release 12 live service games in the market by its fiscal year ending in March 2026, up from 3 during its last business year ended this March. However, earlier this year, PlayStation's management team confirmed that it had partnered with Destiny Studio Bungie for a rigorous portfolio review process. According to press reports, this has led to some projects being scaled back. During an earnings call on Thursday, Sony president, COO, and CFO Hiroki Totoki seemingly confirmed that this review had resulted in some games being pushed back due to quality concerns. Quote, "We are reviewing this. We are trying as much as possible to ensure these games are enjoyed and liked by gamers for a long time," he said. He continues, "Of the 12 titles, 6 titles will be released by FY25. That's our current plan. As for the remaining 6 titles, we are still working on that. That's the total number of live service and multiplayer titles, and mid to long term, we want to push this kind of service, and that's the unchanged policy of the company. It's not like we stick to certain titles, but game quality should be the most important thing," end quote. Tim, is this good news or bad news?
I think this is amazing news. And I also think that there's a lot of news in here. There's a lot to break down and look into. I feel that the most important thing is them saying game quality should be the most important thing. This is something they have talked about a lot in the last decade of PlayStation. And I think that you see the results of that in the fact that so many of their first-party games are many of us here at Kinda Funny and many of the people listening's favorite games ever. And year after year, the expectations are they're going to nail it. They're going to put out very high quality titles in whatever genre it is. So
This many live service games is a mistake. Who would have thought?
there's that too. I mean, they're already like kind of dealing with that or getting sheepish, or again, the best thing here, we've all been saying it, that this isn't going to work. This is them being like, all right, it's not working. We can't put out stuff that's not working because there's an expectation that game quality. When you think PlayStation, you think game quality. And if that changes, PlayStation loses the thing that it has, right? The most important thing to them that is going to push the PS5 to be the dominant system this generation. What I'm really interested in is what this means in terms of cadence of release, because the delay for these games are still going to happen. I imagine at the end of the day, they were working on 12 of them, right?
Yeah.
That's 12, not even including Destiny or Marathon.
No, that's including Marathon.
Is it?
Yeah.
For some reason, I remember them saying that the Bungie stuff was separate. You're wrong, me.
Yeah, that's
if
you're
I'm
wrong
wrong about this.
people know, right?
I remember it being like the Marathon for some reason was like not counted there. Then, if we're just being realistic about it, if there's 12, I think that we actually end up seeing 8 come out. Of those, maybe 2 hit. The rest die.
Yeah.
And I still think that that's a win overall for financially and for what PlayStation, the way that they're trying to place their bets on this. But what's interesting to me about that is a live service game can't, like, it needs to live. in order to be serviced. And as stupid as that sounds, my point is, it's not just, oh, Spider-Man 2 came out and sold 5 million copies in a month. They're betting on money over time. The later they release these games into the PlayStation 5 life cycle, the more crossover there's going to have to be to the next generation.
Yeah.
Because we're going to be at the point these games are coming out, if they're already delayed, and they're delayed without release dates, right?
Yeah.
Right now, they're just delayed from their plans to even be. Right now, they're just
Like, I think
a
they're
nebulous
the-
number of games.
Yeah, because of the 12 titles, 6 will be released by FY25. I think the idea was they were going to have 12 out by FY25, right? And so, like, you're seeing 6 being pushed out forward past that, which I think overall, yeah, I'm with you that that's a good thing, right? Like, hey, let's not crowd the market. You know, I think the big issue right now that we see with live service games is that there's too many of them. And players don't have enough bandwidth to play all these different live service games, because the thing about live service is that those games kind of want to be the only game that you're playing. You know, like Destiny, for Destiny to thrive, people have to be obsessed with Destiny. People have to be checking in with Destiny season after season, right? And like, you know, doing the battle passes, like live service games for the most part, or I should say many of them have what is called dailies. These are things that you log in to do every single day. And that is a norm. That is a standard for a lot of live service games, right? Like, these games want to be your everything. And I think there's only so much there's only a certain amount of bandwidth people have to like give them the audience they need to be there, right? Like, you know, there was somebody who wrote in about Destiny and the issues we've been seeing over at Bungie with the layoffs and them underperforming and all that stuff. And of course, like the big expansion they put out at the top of the year didn't necessarily set the world on fire, right? It got people's attention, and I know Andy and certain people were enjoying it, and like it got an audience in. But you know, I saw also at the same time a lot of disappointment and all that. I think you have that combined with the fact that every week there's a new game to play. There's something shifting our attention. It gets tough, and so I think slowing down and delaying half of them probably is good for spreading them out. But then also, like, hey, let's assess. I'm sure part of that too is Bungie doing the portfolio review and going, okay, Last of Factions isn't working. Let's take our time. Let's scale down the team and let's figure this out. Hey, Marathon, we like rescale down our team because we had layoffs. I think that is probably part of these pushes as well, right? Hey, how's Fair Games doing? Oh man, you know, it seems like we're having issues here, and here. Okay, let's push that out too, right? And again, that's like speculation. This is not me saying Fair Games has been pushed. I don't know what games have been pushed, right? But yeah, like it seems like a lot of this is them reevaluating, which again is a good thing. You know, it's better that they're doing that as opposed to putting out these games undercooked. But also, like it's that weird thing where I want this to be successful even though I don't believe in the vision. You know, like it's just tough for me to go, oh yeah, 12 live service games from PlayStation, that's gonna bode well. Like that's gonna go well for them because you know they don't have that history. They've not had that. They don't have that established already. This is part of them establishing that, but I'm not seeing many other people succeed in this realm right now.
That's the other problem, though, is like you saying that they haven't really proven themselves here yet. Even if they did, even if they had a track record of this, it's different than having a track record of, oh man, we know they make high quality single player games. So we can expect that when they put the proper resources into a game like that, it's going to hit because they've proven that over and over and over, because that's a one-off purchase. For even if you strike like lightning strikes and you get it and you figure out Destiny or a Fortnite, that doesn't mean you can do it again. Yeah, you know, like it's
and just, even keeping those afloat is a battle, right? Like both Epic and Bungie have had major layoffs this year, right? And like Destiny has had sort of Destiny's been probably the key example of a live service that seems to have, you know, done things right for the most part, and even they struggle, right? You look at Fortnite and like, you know, Epic struggles, and Fortnite even like I think probably has its waves of people being like, oh man, what's this season? Okay, well, cool. And like Fortnite OG is a hit right now. That doesn't mean the next season they do is going to hit like Fortnite OG, and that requires a lot of attention, let alone from 12 different games. Yeah,
and you know, then when a live service game hits, you have the most dedicated, engaged audience, which means you need to keep them happy or else they're mad. And when they're mad, that's when games start to fail, because then the entire narrative of the game is bad and you're not making the money, and it's just, it puts everyone in a bad position. And I say this now as for the first time in my life now, it's been almost a year with Pokemon Go and Marvel Snap, that are two games that have daily missions and events and things that I'm actively actually playing and popping into. And I am loving my time with Pokemon Go. Like, I talk about it so much on the show. I am hitting a point though that I'm like, another one of these events.
Yeah.
Oh wow, we're doing this again. Oh, okay, cool. It's the same thing with a different color paint, and it's like I almost don't know what to do there because it's quality content for the most part. There's a lot of bad shit too, but like I don't know what I'm expecting or wanting, and then they add things, and I'm like, I don't like these new things you're adding, and it just kind of puts. I get the point that I'm trying to make is, no matter how much you're enjoying yourself doing something, some things just have a shelf life, and like.
Yeah.
It ends up being this impossible task to actually keep your audience happy, to keep the service live.
Yeah. And funny enough, like as you describe that, like what you're going through with Marvel and with Pokemon Go, like I started thinking about Overwatch too, right? And like my experience with Overwatch of loving it at first and like loving the seasons and loving the events, and then kind of getting further into it and being like, all right, yeah, cool. More of the same now. Okay, cool. We're doing this again. And I think that probably goes for every live service. Like, I'm sure there's ones out there that are figuring this shit out. But like, yeah, it's tough to think of how do you keep audiences engaged for that long, right? If you have a 10-year plan, if you have a 6-year plan, right, or if you have an indefinite future plan, all right, like if we're being real about it, how long can you keep people engaged? I want to bring in a question from Hope, who writes in to kindafunny.com/KFGD and says, are the delays of 6 of Sony's upcoming live service games a good or bad sign of the prospects of their live service push? If these games come out and don't set the world on fire, will we even see the delayed games? Also, what do you think Sony is looking for to consider any of these games successful?
So look, this is so funny because the good and bad and like all this, like we're talking about this, and I'm with you that like I hope this works because I don't want to see people get laid off. I don't want. I want to see
a bunch of fail. I don't want to see that era of PlayStation.
I want to see all of them thriving.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And also,
like,
I want a good lastless multiplayer game.
And exactly, there's like so much good potential here that like everybody's happy. But the problem is right now it's delays and is it good or bad? Is it going to even come out? Like all of that, those are questions. But then we are also asking the questions of, but what about the games we just naturally expect? Not your new endeavors into things that we don't actually believe in, but the follow-ups to games that we love, the new projects, the new IPs from teams that we love. Like those are the things where right now we're having the most question marks from the PlayStation 5 era. And this is what we're hearing. We're not hearing about what Sony Santa Monica's up to or Naughty Dog's up to or Ben's up to or any of that. We're hearing this, and that doesn't add up in a way that makes me feel extremely excited about the next 2 years of the PlayStation 5. We know Wolverine's coming, and I could not be more excited for that. I expect we're going to get some announcements at some point, but I don't know when.
Yeah. I mean, to the last question of that Hope's asking, what do we think Sony is looking for to consider any of these games successful? I mean, I think they're looking for big return. I don't think they are putting these out and like teeing these up with the expectation of, oh yeah, they're going to start small and get big eventually. I think they're hoping for big because in their presentation earlier in the year, they said they're putting in like 60% of their budget, right? Allocating 60% of their budget into live service comparative to what, like 20% before that. You're wrong me about that if I got those numbers wrong. But that's a sizable amount of money that you're investing. You're not investing that money to then hope for moderate success.
Yeah.
They're hoping for high success with this. And, to the part of your question of, if these games come out and don't set the world on fire, will we even see the delayed games? What I'm curious about is 10 years from now, if we come back and we watch the PlayStation showcase from this year, is it going to feel like a fever dream?
Yeah.
Are we going to be like, oh yeah, Fair Games and Concord and Marathon, like those were games that were supposed to come out that we just never saw. Like, what is that going to look?
Or are we going to be like, that was actually the hypest showcase of all time? I doubt that. But I mean, can you imagine though? That would be the craziest like retconning of all time in games media.
But yeah, I mean, like, I think if we get through the next couple of years and the ones they start to release are fucking like failures, like bad, like nobody's playing these things, then I think you see Sony start to reassess pretty quickly. I think if they are like moderate to good, then it is, all right, we got to like figure out how to make these better. We got to figure out how to step up for the future, right? Like I think right now you're already far down the level of commitment where you kind of have to see certain things through. Like Concord, I believe, is slated for 2024, right? So I think they're going to see that through. They're not just going to cancel certain things. The ones that are further out, the ones that are past FY25, Yeah, I think they got potential to be canceled,
Yeah.
but I think that all depends on how far along are you on that project.
And again, I was saying this earlier, but I do think that if they play their cards right and there's a couple of these games they truly believe in, if they hit at the right time towards the end of the PS5's life cycle, that could be so major for them because they're hitting the highest install base possible for an extremely successful system with people that are buying games and playing them. You know, it's like it's an active player base on this generation. And that I feel like would give them such a great leg up and then also a great transition to the next gen, which we've already seen them do fairly seamlessly from PS4 to 5. All the lack of smart delivery and all that stuff was like annoying as hell. I don't think we're going to see that again next time. Like I think from PS5 to 6, it's just going to work.
I hope so. I really hope so. I also hope WB gets this shit together because story number 2, WB is going all in on live service. This is Matt Wales at Eurogamer. As part of his latest earnings call, Warner Brothers CEO David Zaslav has outlined the company's plan to transform its biggest gaming franchises from traditional console and PC releases into always-on live service games. Zaslav made the comments during his opening remarks to investors, in which he referred to several of the company's franchises, Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, Batman, and Mortal Kombat, as $1 billion gaming properties. Developer NetherRealm's Mortal Kombat 1, he noted, has sold nearly 3 million copies since launching in mid-September this year. Our focus, he continued, is on transforming our biggest franchises from largely console and PC based with 3-4 year release schedules to include more always-on gameplay through live services, multi-platform and free-to-play extensions, with the goal to have more players spending more time on more platforms, end quote. Quote, ultimately, we want to drive engagement and monetization of longer cycles and at higher levels, he continued. We are currently under scale and see significant opportunity to generate greater post-purchase revenue. Tim, you excited for our live service WB future?
There's potentially exciting things here, but they're so buried by all the bad things that are like, this sucks. Like a Mortal Kombat, sure, I can see it. I can see it making sense. Fighting games, that could work. But then we also saw things like Street Fighter V come out and it didn't work. But then you have to look at that and ask, why didn't it work? Was we just not in the right time and mindset and understanding of how these consoles work? Like, I feel like there are some potential success stories with this. But then there's everything else. And you look at these talented teams that are like WB Games has banger studios.
Yeah.
Right under the belt. And I say this all the time about PlayStation and I'm saying it about them. I just truly don't believe that the majority of people making these games want to be making these games, these live service games. And I've yet to be proven otherwise by that.
I want to bring in this question from Lucid Dream, who writes in and says, just wanted to write in to give WB some shit over the massively egregious microtransactions they've had in their games for years. I'm looking at you, Mortal Kombat, because I don't think they get mentioned enough along the likes of EA, etc. As an example, they released a seasonal Halloween fatality in MK1 that cost $12 and that is only the tip of the iceberg. The fact that the CEO doesn't seem satisfied with this and wants to convert even more games to a service model is disgusting, quite frankly. I could go on, but you get the idea. Vote with your wallet, folks. My thing, and what Lucid Dream kind of brought up in my mind as I was reading through the write-in is Shadow of War and how much of a thing that was. Because I remember playing Shadow of Mordor back in the day, and Shadow of Mordor was my jam. Like that was up there for like my game of the year 2014, right up there with South Park Stick of Truth. It was a weird year, but like Shadow of Mordor was so good, and then Shadow of War came out, and this was around the time I believe of like Star Wars Battlefront 2, and there was a lot of complaints about like microtransactions and what's going on
and
here.
NBA, right? NBA
And
2K,
NBA 2K also doing the
conversation.
And like Shadow of War, why was that a game that had microtransactions, right? And I think this starts to fall in line with where we've seen the WB stuff be at lately, right? Whether you have Barrett, Gotham Knights, did that have microtransactions? I actually don't know. I didn't play that much. Do you remember?
I'm gonna be honest, I don't fucking remember. I just try to block out that like 2 weeks of my life just out of my brain.
That's fair. That could be you're wrong because I'm curious.
I can look it up.
Because this feels like a
But
direction that they're
like
trying to take.
I feel like Gotham Knights was a weird half step where there was kind of multiplayer stuff where you can play as the different knights, but they didn't really like lean into the live service things. But
people in chat are saying no.
Yeah.
So I can leave Gotham Knights out of the conversation. That's a different conversation. But Suicide Squad is the next thing to bring up, right? Of Is that where is this part of that, right? Is Suicide Squad going this direction as live service because of what you want this push to as WB to be? Like, are we gonna see like how does this bode for Wonder Woman? How does this bode for the games that we typically look for out of these studios? Because you mentioned it, these are talented studios. But I do worry, like just based off of this write-up. But then also like I feel like trends we've seen in WB recently.
Well, we're not going to have to wait long. We're 85 days away from Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League.
Are we though?
We are 85 days away from Groundhog
I hope so,
Day,
because
everybody.
we got to get this game out. Like, we just got to get it over with. We got to rip off the Band-Aid.
85 days. 85 days.
Man, it feels crazy that game's coming out in like 2 months.
It does. Oh, baby, baby, baby.
Let's move on. Story number 3. Steam Deck OLED has been announced, everybody.
Oh my God.
The happy day. This happened as we were breaking for Kinda Funny Games Daily. I'm going to pull from Twitter, where I got a tweet from Wario64, where he says, the Steam Deck OLED has been announced. You're getting a high dynamic range screen, longer lasting battery for faster downloads, and more. I also have a tweet here from Jeff Keighley who lays some stuff out, right? It's going to be released November 16th, which is really soon.
Really
soon,
man. And isn't that the same day as PlayStation Portal? Not that they're intended for the exact same audiences, but I just think that is kind of fun.
But you have that. You have the HDR
man.
OLED display, 30 to 50% longer battery life, faster downloads with Wi-Fi 6E. You have improved thermals and 5%. It's 5% lighter than the Steam Deck LCD models. The 512 gigabyte OLED is coming in at $549, and then the 1 terabyte OLED is coming in at $649.
And there's a limited edition one that has this like really cool looking see-through translucent plastic, like very reminiscent of like, I mean, I guess even like the Switch Pro controller, but like, you know, what we all love from back in the 90s.
Yeah.
With little like orange highlights. But I can't tell, is that the only version sold of the OLED? Or can you get a more traditional colorway for the OLED Steam Deck? Either way, shout out to everybody tweeting at me today. I love when something happens and everyone's just like, we got to talk to Bless about this. We got to talk to Tim. I love that anytime OLED comes up, it's like, I know who to go to. But yeah, I'm really, really excited about this because OLED's kind of been one of the big things holding me back from the Steam Deck. Another one is I don't love some of the button placement, especially where the shoulder buttons are. I'm going to pull out Greg's.
Yeah, Tim is pulling out Greg's deck.
Like holding this thing, it doesn't quite feel right to me. Like there's like, this is too big of a dip, but I think I can get over it. And I think an OLED screen might be the answer.
You're going to like the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
I'm so happy because I didn't know if this was going to happen for you because you kept saying I'm going to hold out for OLED. And I was like, that might be far off. Like, I don't know if they're going to make like another model of this thing. Like, I think it might be a while. And it's happening. And it's happening like right now.
And it's going to be lighter, they're saying. A little slightly better battery life. So that's all nice. Not more powerful though. So give me the pitch on this then, Bless. What am I going to do with this Steam Deck OLED?
Many illegal things. So many illegal things.
But also, how well are those illegal things running?
Oh, really well.
Before we went live here, you and Barrett were both like, man, I really want this thing, but I don't want to have to go through installing everything and doing it all again.
Yeah, but that's more so just like, you got to get a little nerdy with the Steam Deck, but it's not crazy. Like, we're not hacking. We're not hacking into a database.
Like, here's the thing. It's like, you know, Mike always joked about, well, kind of serious, but never committed to like, let's get games on his Steam Deck. And then Tim, once you get this OLED, we can get games.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's really easy. You just gotta like boot up the Linux thing they got in there.
Maybe plug in a mouse and keyboard.
Maybe plug in a mouse and keyboard and do some things with some files.
Yeah,
like,
so
and that's the same with like.
I'm nerdy with that shit. I'm down for that.
And I think you're the appropriate level of nerdy. Like, you're gonna be fine doing that. And once it's set up and go. So once you do that, all those games are in your Steam library.
Yeah.
And so if you want to boot up, I don't know, like maybe a game that you liked from back in the day, you just go over to your library and just click it and boot it.
Who's to say maybe like a Tony Hawk's Underground?
Yeah.
You know?
So, okay, but how well are these things running? Because like I remember back in the day on my PSP, I was playing allegedly Super Mario World, and I had to put frame skip on a couple frames, and I was just like,
they run as well as they run on a
original
PC on that emulator.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like, if you boot up your like a PCSX2 or whatever it's called, right, on your computer, it's gonna run the exact same on your Steam Deck.
So PS2 games, we good.
You're good.
Yes.
Here's the thing. I mean, not every game runs perfectly. Like but when I played when I allegedly try to play NBA Street Volume 2 on the PlayStation 2 emulator. It ran weird, and so I booted up on Dolphin, and it ran well. And so there are things like that are fixes.
Okay.
And
I'm sure for
not
anything.
all ROMs are equal. Not all ROMs are
Yeah.
like great on any emulator kind of things. So.
Yeah.
And so, like, and I'm sure for whatever problem, there's somebody online with a fix if you really want to seek that out. But my solutions have been like, okay, if it doesn't work on PC SX2, it'll work on Dolphin.
Yeah.
Got
Like
it.
allegedly, maybe I did an entire playthrough of Tony Hawk's Underground and Tony Hawk's Underground.
I love that both of us
and
did
other
that.
games.
Allegedly. Like,
allegedly.
Tony Hawk's Underground 2 is such a, like, I got to replay
Who's
that
to
game
say
every few
where
years.
I played the original Persona games for my Persona, every game Persona fucking ranked words? Who's to say? Did it all run well? Who's to say if I played the God of War PSP games?
And
Who
here's the
knows?
thing, right? Because we're talking about games, but also the new games that are coming out work so well for this thing. Like I did God of War 2018 for the replay we did for PS11 last year. Did it on my Steam Deck.
Yeah.
And it was a great time. I played Death Stranding Director's Cut on the Steam Deck. Great time. Elden Ring ran really well on the Steam Deck.
Okay, so I guess that's my real question to you, and I'm just be 100% honest here.
Yeah.
What's the percentage of your gaming time that you spend on the Steam Deck these days, and what are you playing?
These days, if I'm being completely honest, not booted up my Steam Deck in a while.
Okay.
But that's also just because like I'm playing a lot of like Nintendo and PlayStation stuff, and like I'm way more of a console player. That said, like I played quite a bit of Baldur's Gate 3 on Steam Deck, and that is the thing of, oh man, that's what inspired me to get the NVIDIA whatever graphics driver I have right now, my
what
3080.
But I think what your use case is going to be, Timmy, is like think about like all the indie games that you try to give love to and all that stuff, and like if you want to play it handheld, you probably have tried it on the Switch and it like runs fine enough or whatever. But then think about that indie game running on that Steam Deck at 60 frames per second.
see, that's my
now
problem.
with an OLED screen.
But they do on Switch. Like,
But
I can't
also-
think of a single indie game that I'm like,
That's the other thing, though, is that I feel like once I got my Steam Deck, I started discovering more indie games.
Yeah.
Like El Paso Elsewhere. I forget if actually I think that might be on Switch, but that's one that I picked up on Steam Deck and I've been playing that. Like if I'm requesting an indie game now, I'm probably getting it on PC because it's also nice having the thing of, all right, I'm playing this on my Steam Deck, but I can also boot it up on my computer if I want like the screen version of it or the ultimate version of it with all the graphics options and things.
all right.
Yeah.
The price seems a little high for my use cases here, but I mean, hey, they're giving me exactly what I asked for.
Yeah,
So
you're gonna like this thing. I was obsessed with it, but hell yeah, let's go. Steam Deck OLED, we won, everybody. If you want to continue winning, let me talk about patreon.com/kindafunny. Over there, you can get wins such as watching the Kinda Funny Next Gen podcast, such as getting Kinda Feudy, and so much more. But you can also win by getting shows ad free. And speaking of ads, let us tell you about our sponsors.
this episode is brought to you by Shady Rays. 'Tis the season of giving. Get the perfect gift for a special someone, yourself, or both. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades and quick swap snow goggles that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers an unrivaled product that's just as good as any expensive pair we've worn. Y'all know I've been outside in the sun a lot playing Pokemon Go, and it's such a great experience wearing Shady Rays when I'm out and about looking dope. And that's not all. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out a very merry deal for the season. You can go to shadyrays.com, use code KINDAFUNNY for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people by going to shadyrays.com, using code KINDAFUNNY, and you'll get 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. This episode's brought to you by Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions. It monitors your spending and helps you lower your bills all in one place, and it has surprised multiple of my friends and people are kind of funny at how many subscriptions they have that they have forgot they're still paying for. Over 80% of people have subscriptions they've forgotten about. Seriously, think of how many free trials you've subscribed to that you've probably never canceled. That's why I'm such a big fan of Rocket Money. It's so easy to cancel the ones you don't want with just the press of a button. Rocket Money can even negotiate to lower your bills for you by up to 20%. event. All you have to do is take a picture of your bill, and Rocket Money takes care of the rest. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and manage your money the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/kindafunny. That's rocketmoney.com/kindafunny. rocketmoney.com/kindafunny.
And we're back with story number 4. The next Mass Effect isn't expected until 2029 or later. A report claims. This is from Chris Scullion at VGC.
Hold on. The thing we just saw teased?
Yeah. 2029. Do you know what I'm going to be doing in 2029? I'm going to be married with like 15 kids.
15 kids, yeah.
I'm gonna, like,
15 kids in 6 years?
Yeah, dude.
Hey, got to get going. You know, I'm going to have a lot of triplets. All right?
I like that.
So I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know who I'm going to be in 2029.
That's insane.
I'm going to be a different person. I'm not.
Is this the first? I mean, I guess they didn't actually. They're not saying this, right? But like,
this is from. I'll read it. The next Mass Effect game may not see a release until 2029 or later. It is claimed. BioWare marked its annual N7 Day on Tuesday by publishing a teaser for its next Mass Effect game. However, during Giant Bomb's Game Mess morning show on Wednesday, the site's Jeff Grubb and Timur Hussein both shared that, according to their sources, the game is still a long way off. Quote, "You want some original reporting," Grubb said. "This game is just nowhere near coming out. I was told that when they revealed Dragon Age Dreadwolf in 2018, this is similar in terms of timeline. That was announced in 2018, and we're not getting that game until maybe next year. So now do the math for that, and we're talking 2029 for Mass Effect 5. Timur then replied, I've heard some things as well, and this game is so far away. It is so far in another galaxy right now." End quote. Grubb went on to claim that his sources told him that the N7 Day teaser was created mainly to reassure fans that the game was still in the works, rather than any sort of indication that it was coming anytime soon. Quote, when I asked, it was just like, hey, this is just because they have to do something for N7 Day. Yes, for this thing, that is all this is. End quote.
Yeah, man, it's interesting. There's different ways to look at it, right? Because we always, there are a lot of people out there that are like, why are we so weird about video games? And why don't we just talk about what everyone's working on? And it's like, well, this is why. It just sucks the energy and air out of everything. And it's like, it's not fun to think about a game like Mass Effect with the little tease we got coming out in a time period that, jokes aside, we can't even fathom.
Yeah. Like literally, like what? In 2029, I will be, that's 6 years away. I'll be like 35, 36 years old with 15 kids and a house and a mortgage.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know if I'm gonna be a fan of video games in 2029. Like, you know, it's wild. I'm with it, of like the thing of, yeah, I think there is something there in terms of the transparency of talking about games, right? In the way that, like, hey, as soon as the movie's greenlit, like, we know what the movie is and all that stuff. But yeah, like, I think game timeline for like development can be so long and also so unpredictable in terms of delays and things being pushed and all this stuff, because there's so many moving parts that I personally prefer not to know, really. Like, I don't want to be hearing people talk about Mass Effect for the next 6 years. We know it's going to happen someday, right? We know it's BioWare, and so, like, yeah, you're going to make a new Dragon Age eventually. You know, you're going to make a new Mass Effect eventually, and maybe this is just me, but yeah, I feel like 6 years is a long time to wait for this thing, especially it being announced like what, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, totally.
That puts in like a cyberpunk territory.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I always say, I like my unicorn games. I do feel like there are a suite of games that are so big that, yeah, I want them to be announced. I want to know they're officially coming and understand they're not going to come for a very long time. And Mass Effect is, I think, on that level. Like, I feel, especially for what this game seems to be, which is like, we're giving you what you want, motherfuckers. Yeah. But yeah, it is wild to think that, and again, this is just Grubb predicting, but I think his prediction potentially is not far off.
No, I mean, for me, it strikes me the same as Elder Scrolls, the next one, when they announced that years ago, right? And it's like, well, you still got Starfield. And, you know, now that Starfield's out, we can expect, what, another 4 or 5 years before we get Elder Scrolls.
Good point.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, and I don't know what the right solution is, because I understand on one level. You want to reassure your fans that this thing is happening. Hey, just because we're working on a new IP doesn't mean that the thing you love is like non-existent, or we're not going to work on that again, because you want to kind of build that thing. Yeah, sure, it's BioWare. Hey, we put out Anthem and we're working on Dragon Age, but we know there's a hankering for Mass Effect. Just so you know, we're working on it. You're just not going to see it for a decade, but we're working on it. It's like, oh man, well, if it's not coming out for a decade, why do I even know anyway? Like, why? Like, it's a weird thing.
Yeah.
Moving on though. Story number 5. Former Forza boss Alan Hartman has been appointed head of Xbox Game Studios. This is Tom Ivan at Video Games Chronicle. Microsoft has appointed former Turn 10 boss Alan Hartman as its new head of Xbox Game Studios. Hartman, who joined the Forza Motorsport developer back in 2005, had spent the last 2 years working as corporate vice president of Forza and Fable. Quote, "Thrilled to be representing such an elite set of game creators in my new role leading Xbox Game Studios," he wrote on LinkedIn. Hartman's promotion follows several recently announced Xbox leadership changes. He is taking on the role previously held by Matt Booty, who has been promoted to president of game content and studios, a role which incorporates overseeing the work of ZeniMax and Bethesda. Sarah Bond was also promoted from corporate vice president at Xbox to Xbox president. In her new role, she has taken over the running of the division's hardware and software platforms. The leadership changes also coincide with Microsoft finally completing its $69 million billion?
It was billion.
Billion, 69 billion. It says million. Acquisition of Activision Blizzard. Sometimes money, numbers get so high where I'm like
that's still a lot of money.
Yeah, I'm like 69 million. That seems all right.
Yeah. Look, I think this is great. We've been talking about this a lot, and I think that strong leadership and a quantity of leadership when you're dealing with this many teams is incredibly important. And having people focused on different aspects of that business is, I think, going to be the key to either the success or failure of the new Xbox that we are already starting to see, but in 5 years we'll be looking at and being like, man, the decisions they made in 2023 are really going to show. And where is Xbox going to be? Where are they possibly going to be? And I'm excited. I think that we've seen them kind of be putting everything in position to really hit and acquiring more and more and more teams. Them having Bethesda the last couple of years now, seeing how that has went from us asking, are they going to be multi-platform, to no, it's not. We can stop fucking asking, because from here on out, Elder Scrolls 6, we shouldn't be questioning if it's coming to PS5.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that that's going to start happening with all the Activision stuff as well. But eventually, I do believe we're just going to get Xbox Game Studios. There's going to be some Activision and Bethesda stuff renamed. And I think that all of this is evidence of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think, for me, this reminds you of like Herman Hulse being promoted to like PlayStation Studios head, right? Like, it's nice to have somebody that has been at the top of a studio be the one that you are. Okay, you know what being in a studio is like. You know what it's like to work directly on a game. You know what it's like to lead a team of people working on games. Now, help lead the people who are leading the teams, people who are making games, right? Like, you want somebody who's familiar with that task. And so, congratulations to Alan Hartman.
Yep. And to Matt Booty and Sarah Bond and the entire team over there. Like, I feel like so far they're making the right calls. I haven't seen anything that I'm like, fuck, that sucks.
Hopefully Bobby Kotick leaves.
Yeah, I mean,
soon.
Well, they're saying that he is. Yeah. So it's like, cool. This sounds like the right landscape to be able to grow and kind of create a new era of Xbox, but a new era of video games.
Story number 6. Marvel Spider-Man 2 sells more than 5 million copies in 11 days. This comes directly from a tweet from Insomniac, where they say, "We're incredibly honored to announce Marvel Spider-Man 2 for PS5 has sold over 5 million copies. Thanks to our incredible community for supporting us and helping us reach this milestone."
That's incredible, man.
Yeah.
5 million, and it's like, it hasn't been a month. It's only just been a couple
11
weeks.
days.
Is that right?
Dude, I was thinking about the same thing.
No. That's not right at all.
No?
Since Spider-Man 2, October 20th to November 9th.
I was lied to. This article lied to me.
Well, no, the article's probably right of like the first 11 days of it being out, it sold 5 million, but that doesn't mean today is 11 days after.
Okay, no, that's fair.
See, that's weird. Why would they?
Wow, I mean, maybe it took them a little bit to figure out the numbers and shit.
But I feel like, yeah. If I were them, I would have that
catch it. Like, what's today's number? Wait, hold on. Let me see if I can find this in. I forget what article I got that specific sentence from.
Also, it's why, like I know the PS5 is new, and I'm not trying to do like console war stuff, but like the 5 million in 11 days, like Spider-Man 2 being one of the biggest games, like really, like Tim, it's fucking insane how fast Tears of the Kingdom sold in 3 days.
No, absolutely. And
see, the numbers are because I remember like when Starfield did their numbers, right? Like I was kind of trying to like do the comparison thing of what Starfield in the first couple of weeks was 10 million players, right? And like that's I mean that's an insane number. But then that made me think about the Zelda thing of Zelda doing 10 million and Pokemon for that matter also doing 10 million in 3 days. You had to buy that for $70.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Zelda was $70 too, just like Spider-Man. Normally, we're like, well, you have to keep that in mind. It's like, nah, man, that was $70.
And like both exclusives, obviously, way more Switches out there than anything in the world. But like, that's a fucking insane number.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2 being 5 million, also insane. Starfield also having 10 million players, right? Also insane.
All these numbers are totally wild. But like, I think that this number is again, whether it's representative of 11 days or 3 weeks
the last couple weeks,
that's great. And oh my god, this is just the beginning. Like I imagine this game is. We've talked about this a lot, but like I think it's easily passing 20 when all's said and done, and that's incredibly impressive.
And I think I forget what our bet was. I think we had a back and forth about what's going to sell more between Mario and Spider-Man, and I think so far like Spider-Man's
outpacing.
Yeah, outpacing, but like. I think less than like a million though. Like I think Mario was around 4 point something million, and Spider-Man 2 is at 5 million. And so yeah.
I mean Mario. I think if I had to predict, I think the Spider-Man 2 clears 20 million and Mario Wonder clears 30.
So yeah, okay, here we go. So I got it directly from IGN. IGN's article is Marvel Spider-Man 2 sells more than 5 million in 11 days. Now, where did they get the 11 days? I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting. But then, dude, we're also heading into the holiday. We're setting into a holiday with a new iteration of the PS5 that I don't think is going to convince too many people that already have a PS5 to buy a new one. But I do think it's an exciting thing for people that have been maybe on the fence a little bit of like just, ooh, shiny new thing. And with Spider-Man 2, that's reviewed well. It's Spider-Man, one of the most iconic characters ever. There's just so many wins going on there.
Yeah.
And supply will be in stores for the console for one of the first holiday seasons that we've that's been the case. Like I think last year was the first holiday season and they had God of War Ragnarok, which was another major mainstream win, but it's different now.
Yeah. It's funny because like as you mentioned that, I was like, hey, yeah, why wouldn't you should have a Spider-Man at launch. Why'd you wait until now to release Spider-Man 2? And then I forgot the Spider-Man Miles Morales was literally at launch. Fucking Spider-Man carrying this console on his back. Woo. Good for you. Story number 7. Overwatch League is over. It's done. This is from Sophie McAvoy at gamesindustry.biz. Activision Blizzard has announced the end of the Overwatch League. In a statement sent to GG Recon, the company said it was transitioning away from the Overwatch League and is planning to take competitive Overwatch in a new direction. Quote, "We're grateful to everyone who made Overwatch League possible and remain focused on building our vision of a revitalized esports program," the company said. "We're excited to share details with you all in the near future," end quote. As GG Recon reported, the news came after several teams exited the esports tournament, including Toronto Defiant and the Chengdu Hunters. According to the Jacob Wolf report, Activision Blizzard is reportedly in talks with the Saudi Arabian state-owned ESL Faceit Group to run the 2024 Overwatch season. In its financial report for H1 2023, the publisher noted that the total revenues from its Overwatch League comprised less than 1% of its consolidated revenue. Rest in peace.
There's a lot going on here. Overwatch League, so much of esports, fantastic. And such a great idea and something that I want to root for. But I feel like being in this industry for as long as I have and realizing how many adjacent industries they are, where it's just because we say we're in games, that can mean 1,000 different things, whether it's games media, game development, console, PC, indie, AAA, all of that. And then there's esports, which is such a different thing with a mind of its own and problems of its own. And I feel like being tangentially in it and also directly in it at certain times over the last couple of years, there is a nastiness and a major frat boy money problem that just is pervasive throughout so much of esports that I feel like after so many controversies, after so many just money laundering schemes, and it feels like snake oil, and it feels like there was a rush to the top and a sell, like we can do this. There's money in these hills, and then there clearly wasn't as much money to back that stuff up. That even the most successful examples of these esport things like Overwatch League, even things like Riot, which obviously they have worlds and they have amazing things, but there was a while where Riot was like heavily investing in the like studio on their own campus and like turning that into a giant thing. And like for a game, one of the biggest games ever, some of the biggest games ever, multiple things. It's just like the live service games. To have live audience spectator sports happening, you need audiences to come, and you need consistent audiences to be able to make that money make sense for all the investors. And I don't know, man. The bubble is already popped when it comes to esports, and it is sad to see Overwatch League being part of that.
Yeah, because like so many people love that. Like so many people. That's the thing is, like you mentioned it, that it almost esports can feel like such a separate world from the world that we're in. And like when I hear people talk about esports stuff, I often feel just way out of my realm, right? I'm like, oh man, I don't know how to talk about what's going on with League of Legends and the tournaments. And all that. It's funny enough, like as I was telling Greg about how the other day I went to dinner with some friends and I met a couple new people, and one of them was a gamer, so immediately we started talking about GTA because GTA was the big news, and I was fresh off of seeing that pop up on Twitter. But like as I started getting more conversation with him, I'm like, oh yeah, so like what kind of games do you play? He's like, oh yeah, dude, like me and my friends play, we have a Minecraft server, like to play League of Legends sometimes, and like, oh, we do a lot of like WoW Classic and old school RuneScape. And he keeps listing games, and I'm like, nope. Next. I'm hoping. I'm like, please say Baldur's Gate, or please say Elden Ring. Please say something I know. And he's like, yeah, man. So yeah, old school RuneScape and like Valorant. I'm like, I don't know these games. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
That's very funny.
So we had to talk about GTA. But
You never played old school RuneScape, Buzz?
I mean, when I was a kid, I played RuneScape, but I'm not like, I don't know what old school RuneScape is now. Like I know it's classic RuneScape, but I think they have new content, which is cool.
That's cool.
But also, I'm like,
We get into RuneScape, Buzz?
I could be down. You can get me for exactly 2 days. Beyond that, I'm out. But you can get me for a 2-day period. But yeah, like so many people, even though like I think a lot of the esports stuff can be outside of my realm, outside of our realm, so many people I know love Overwatch League. Like I know Andy's obsessed with it, right? And like I see plenty of gaming journalists and just Overwatch fans being obsessed with Overwatch League. And like
it's well presented. It's hype. It's so cool.
Yeah,
there's a product there, man.
And so like it sucks to see it going away. I hope that we can find a replacement that is, healthy and non-controversial and all that stuff. But again, I'm outside of this. I don't know like what the fuck is going on with the Overwatch League. I read Saudi Arabia and I'm like, wait.
I mean, that's what it is.
What's happening?
That's where we're at.
All right. Our final news story number 8. The griddy is back. But you only have a few hours left to get it.
This sounds like a threat.
This is from Fortnite on Twitter. Oh snap, they're hitting the griddy. Get the griddy.
What, Bless? Why did you say that like Nick would say it?
I'm reading a news story.
No, he said it like Michael Cera would say it.
That's what they said. That's what the tweet says.
Hey man, they're hitting the griddy.
Oh snap, they're hitting the griddy. Get the griddy emote in the OG shop for the next 24 hours. This is tweeted last night at 4 p.m. I guess our time. And so, you got like 5 hours left if you're watching this live. To
Seeing Mike
the
do this brings joy to my heart every single time. He's just such a character.
Did you see that he ran a half marathon yesterday? Apparently?
Yeah, I did. Bless. I was here when it was all starting off, and I was like, just don't hurt yourself, please. Mm-hmm. We need you.
And he did it.
He did it.
He came in with energy today, which I was really impressed by. I was like,
there's a confidence. Yeah. There's a level of
fuck
to
you
all
guys.
the haters, because there was a lot of haters.
Is he dealing with some blisters?
Is he? Wouldn't
Who's
be surprised.
Who's to say?
Good Lord.
Seeing what next inhuman feat Michael is able to pull off next is just so far away.
Yep.
Probably not that far away. But if I wanted to know what's coming out to mom and pop shops today, where would I look?
The official list of upcoming software across each and every platform as listed by the Kinda Funny Games Daily shows each and every weekday.
Yeah. A lot of people in chat are like, I do not believe he ran more than 13 miles with no prep. But there's video proof. Like he live streamed
He did it.
Cool Greg was with him. And does Cool Greg lie? Fuck no, he doesn't.
He does not lie. Yeah, if there's anything I know about Cool Greg, that mean we'll tell the truth. out today, we got 9 Years of Shadows for the Switch, Berserk Recharged for PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X, Xbox One, Switch, and PC, Like a Dragon Gaiden, The Man Who Erased His Name for PS5, Xbox Series X, PS4, Xbox One, PC, Dungeons 4 for PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, the 4th Dungeons game. Let's go.
There we go.
Cuisineer for PC, Tales of Arise, Beyond the Dawn for PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and PC. Catan Console Edition for Switch. Y'all just making shit up. And then Double Dragon Advance for PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, Switch, and PC. On like a while ago on Kinda Funny, like a couple months ago, we did like a test game of I forget what I called it. I called it You're Wrong, right? Where I did like a fake KFGD and you had to like figure out what was like the inaccuracies. And one of the segments I have is out today where I read a bunch of games that are not real. Double Dragon Advance and Catan Console Edition are such like gotchas.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like it could be, but it doesn't sound right.
Yeah. New dates for you. We got Braid Anniversary Edition. That launches April 30th on 2024 on consoles, PC, and Netflix. Neptunia Sisters versus Sisters. That's another one. It's like, that's not a real game.
No way. Neptunia.
Launches January 23rd, 2024 on Switch. And then Fantasy Life, The Girl Who Steals Time.
Awesome.
Has been delayed to
Great.
2024. Oh, and then also a special new date for you. This comes from Embracer Group on Twitter. Our Q2 report will be published at 7 CET time on November 16th.
Cool.
You're welcome to join us live in Stockholm for our online or online for the webcast presentation. That's going down Thursday, November 16th at 9 o'clock.
Oh, bless. I forgot to tell you, we're actually sending you to Stockholm.
Let's fucking go. Tim, I would probably be mean-spirited, so I understand not doing it. But like, you know, if me and Greg did a live reaction to the Embracer Group financial call.
Yeah.
Because did you ever see the last one? The video of the last one? Dude, it's incredible. Like, I had to bring it up for Greg because like I was describing to Greg and Greg, I couldn't depict to him like how wild this thing was until we brought it up. Maybe we'll make that our post show because it's insane. This is where the Saudi Arabia deal fell through.
Oh, okay.
And they weren't saying who it was, but like it just starts off and they're like, last night we had a major deal come through, and they were distraught. They were horrified at what just happened. Yeah, so we're gonna bring that up, but we're gonna save that till after the show. We have a deal of the day for you. Surviving the Aftermath and Earthlock will be free on Epic Game Store from November 16th through the 23rd. And then this is from Wario64. Calculator is $2 on the US eShop.
Shout out to it looking like the calculator on like iOS 6.
It's the best.
Yeah, this is such a basic looking like add some pizzazz, add some style to it, you know, try harder.
I love it now, man.
But it's $2.
Get the shit right.
Now it's time for You're Wrong, where you write in, let us know what we got wrong as we got it wrong so we can correct it for those watching later on YouTube and listening later on podcast services around the Nitro says Marathon does count toward the 12. Bander SN says PlayStation Live Service budget went from 12% in 2019 to 49% in 2022 and will increase from 55 will increase to 55 by 2025. So I wasn't far off, actually.
Yeah, no, good shit.
Yeah, I was pretty spot on.
I just want to say real quick, I was shouting out Halo 2's 19th birthday today, and I was telling the story. I think this was in the version of the Games Daily that got killed in the beginning, but I was telling the story of me and Alfredo and my best friend Curran waiting at midnight. Curran just texted me, "Happy Halo 2 anniversary" with a little heart.
Hell yeah. Good for y'all, man.
Awesome, man.
Good for y'all.
Like, he's not out there like on IGN or anything. So he just he saw the date and he's like, "I'll never forget."
Gundam Stevenson says the 11 days is October 20th to the end of October, so the 31st. So the Spider-Man 2 sales are for the month of October.
Okay, that's where
that
the
makes
11
sense.
days come from. Yeah. That makes so much sense.
Catan Console Edition is the video game version of the very popular board game, often referred to as European Monopoly. I have a lot to say about this. First of all, don't mansplain what Catan is to me, okay? I love Catan. I play Catan all the time. But secondly, they call it European Monopoly? Is that real? Is that true? I didn't know that.
Fake Catan fan over here.
I didn't know that people were calling that European Monopoly, because guess what? Europeans got it right this time, because our Monopoly sucks. But Catan, great. Catan, great. But thank you, the Portland Kevin, for that. That's it for You're Wrong. Tomorrow's host for Kinda Funny Games Daily is going to be Tim and me.
Wow.
Back at it.
Like a bad habit.
Of course, this has been Kinda Funny Games Daily, each and every weekday live right here on youtube.com/KindaFunnyGames and twitch.tv/KindaFunnyGames. We run you through the nerdy news you need to know about. Until next time, Game Daily. All right, I'm going to find this Embracer call to send to
I've already
Barrett.
found it.
You found it?
I'll be right back. I need to pee-pee.
You have a tight window because Greg Miller says this has to end at 11:30. So if you'd like to do the Embracer call, Bless, do it up.
Yep. Hey, speed run some questions right now. Let's go.
We really only need to like watch like a couple of minutes of it.
Okay, speed run some questions for you, Bless. Say Chalet writes in and says, aren't Souls like Metroidvania trend chasing too?
Aren't Souls like Metroidvania trend chasing too? Oh, because you're saying that like games as a service stuff is trend chasing.
Oh, okay,
I mean,
okay.
I don't think people are doing Souls likes and Metroidvanias because the industry trends are telling them that this is going to make them like so much more money as opposed to like other things.
Yeah.
You know, I think when developers making Souls like or Metroidvanias, I get the impression that they really want to make these kind of games because I don't think Metroidvania on the box is selling that many more copies.
Yeah.
I think that is hey, no, we really like Metroidvanias and we think we have a cool ideal for one.
There's a difference between inspiration and chasing trends.
Yeah, 1000%.
Okay. Street Shadow writes in the $10 super chat says, on the topic of live service games, what are your ideas for successful ideas for PlayStation? Mine are Warhawk as a BR, SOCOM as a tactical shooter, LBP, that's Little Big Planet, as a free-to-play creation game, PC crossplay.
Ooh. That's a really good question. I think a Little Big Planet live service game. This is called Little Big Planet.
Yeah.
That is, over time they're adding in more elements, they're adding in more costume skins and all that stuff, and like, adding in original campaigns. I think that'd be a fun idea. I think that'd be cool. I think that'd be successful because like Little Big Planet is such a like recognizable IP, and I think it has a sales potential to it.
It'd be better than Dreams.
It'd be better than Dreams.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
Right? It's like as a casual fan, right? If you were like, hey, it's Dreams, but it's Little Big Planet skinned and all that jazz, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'd be into that more.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay.
I would also, I think you could do a version of The Last of Us that works, but I think you might have to scale back. As scary as that sounds for Naughty Dog, right? Because Naughty Dog wants to like do the most ambitious thing possible. I think if you make a Last of Us that is, hey, it's just battle royale, or it's just the multiplayer modes that we had from Last of Us 1, right? But like really committed to it. I think there could be something there, and then also Ghost of Tsushima Legends, but even more. Like, just give me more of that.
Man, shout out to man.
Ghost
when we
of
were
Tsushima Legends
playing
was fire.
multiplayer, and you go into photo mode with your friends. That shit was crazy. Bless. Also, shout out to SOCOM. I miss SOCOM. I hope one day we bring it back. Happy birthday to Halo 2, the GOAT, the absolute GOAT, Tim. I think about it daily. Like, honest to God, Lockout, 1v1 me on Lockout right now, any day of the week. Street Shadow writes in with the $5 super chat and says, I think the delays are good. In my opinion, working in game dev, this is a natural process of experimentation. So many things never see the light of day.
I agree.
Okay. CJ writes in with the $5 super chat and says, I think Jim Ryan is right. I think Sony is too is reliant on third-party revenue. Losing COD could harm their single-player games. They need to diversify.
See, I think there's something there. I also think it's good to diversify. The main thing that worries me is how how deep they're jumping into like that pool, right? Like, hey, again, 60% of the budget, 12 live service games, are going all in. I think a PlayStation first-person shooter exclusive game, even a multiplayer one, I think that is something that's good. I think
You
that
have
is
one,
something that's
SOCOM.
needed.
Just bring it back.
Bring back SOCOM. I'm sure that's going to sell.
Seriously?
I'm sure that's going to sell
SOCOM,
Call
bring
of
it
Duty
back.
numbers. But yeah, like I think, dude, even owning Destiny, like I know Bungie said they want their things to be multi-platform, but like if you had Marathon be like an exclusive PlayStation thing, like I think that helps counteract that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they're not going to lose Call of Duty though.
I mean,
right?
that is true.
Like that, I think that's the. I imagine that Xbox is going to make a lot more money from Call of Duty, but I wonder. I mean, let's talk about this. Do you think that Sony is going to make less money from Call of Duty going forward?
I mean, you're not going to have the exclusive stuff that you usually have, right? Because like PlayStation, they'll do like the Spec Ops.
They get Spec
modes.
Ops for a full year, which is bullshit.
Yeah, and like,
Because it was the whole lifespan of the game.
Yeah.
That's absolutely insane to say that. You know what I mean?
but like stuff like that and like marketing deals, I think you lose out on that as PlayStation.
But then they don't need to pay for them.
Yeah, that's true.
So I
mean,
wonder.
you're right.
I wonder how that all
But I also
shakes
think
out.
it's the fear that Call of Duty becomes more associated with Xbox because Xbox is, owning that
Be on
marketing.
Game Pass.
Game Pass, like they're making Xbox the place to play Call of Duty. I think you start to see some of that audience shift. I don't think it'll be so major that it is like, PlayStation's still going to make money off of it, but I do wonder long term how much they lose.
So the long term is interesting because what I think because this deal's happened so deep into this generation's life cycle, I feel like what's done is done. The people that own PS5s own the PS5s. They're playing Call of Duty there every year. They're not going to switch their playing to Xbox. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the core of what we're talking about here, of like PlayStation making money off of the franchise, I don't think we're going to see any change during the PS5 generation. And I mean, I think the biggest potential switch would be if Xbox manages to sell Call of Duty and its Game Pass stuff so well to the general public that they understand it, that when next generation comes along, they're either switching to whatever that Xbox platform looks like, or they're like, in addition to PS5, we're also going to subscribe to Game Pass. And that's how we're going to play Call of Duty going forward.
All right, Barrett, bring up the video.
Bring it up.
Online as
10
well.
minutes.
And if you're here in the room, you can also ask questions. And with that, I want to hand over to Lars Wingefors, CEO and President.
So this is this
Oh,
last.
it's Lars,
you,
bro.
Martin.
Yeah, they brought out Lars. This is last spring.
And good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's presentation. Today is a humbling morning. Starting today's presentation, we would like to describe some background and rationale for the aforementioned strategic partnership deal. Even if it serves little financial value going forward, it hopefully answers some questions about our communications and our decisions.
I feel so sad for
In
this
the
man.
second
Dude.
quarter
It was depressing.
22-23, we outlined our ambition to close a number of partnership and licensing deals that would be jointly transformative for Embracer. We have already entered into multiple partnerships and licensing agreements
I've
with
seen
industry
enough.
partners.
Let's put him down.
It
both
gets worse.
AAA games and
No.
movies based on some of our iconic IPs. Except for the already announced deals that have more limited short-term financial value, we have been working on one groundbreaking strategic partnership agreement that would have set a new benchmark for the industry. And trust me, I've been spending a lot of time on this.
It hurts, man.
Negotiations have been taking far longer than originally anticipated, considering we had a verbal commitment already in October 22.
Got to get that written
The
commitment.
specific
You do.
deal
Yeah,
included
you do.
more
Get it on
than
paper.
Signed contract.
$2
Get it on
billion
paper.
in contracted development revenues over a period of 6 years. The deal would have enabled a catch-up payment at closing for already capitalized costs for a range of large budget games, but also notably improved medium to long-term profits and cash flow predictability
Oh my God.
for the duration of the game development projects.
His dog
The
died, his
transaction
wife left
had
him.
many of the highest rated
My kids, they just
global
love me anymore.
advisories across various segments on board with several hundred people engaged on both
He's talking about
sides.
Saudi Arabia, by the way, just for the
All
record.
documentation was finalized and ready to go as of yesterday. We asked for the execution of the agreement before our Q4
How
announcement.
insane is this?
Dang, man.
However, late
Putting it all
last
on the
night,
table.
we received a negative outcome from the counterparty. This decision was
Is
unexpected
there anything else,
to
or
the
is this it?
management and the board of directors.
We can stop it here. There is more of like a they're fucking distraught. Like it kind of gets into like oh man, you can tell it's hard for them to say these words.
Yeah.
Type thing, and like this was on a Games Daily with me and Greg, and it was like the breaking news or the number one news story or whatever. But like we watched more of it, and we're just like, yo, this is fucking insane.
Dang.
And now Volition's closed, and all these studios are closing, and this is why they're exploiting Lord of the Rings.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Jace the Drone writes in with the $5 super chat, says, big congrats to Mike for conquering an impromptu half marathon and showing all his haters, specifically Roger, that he's king of the darkness. I mean, it's limitless. You know what I mean? You just go out and do. You don't ask questions. You just put your body on the line. And Roger didn't see me doing it. He didn't believe me. Tell me.
I don't want to say I'm proud of you, Mike.
Thanks.
Because, like
Thanks, Tim. You did give me the father look like, don't fuck this up, Mike.
don't hurt yourself.
Yep,
That's all I was saying. But I will. Fuck it. I'll say it. I'm proud of you.
Thanks,
you did the damn
We
thing.
How do
did
your
it.
legs
We
feeling?
did it. My legs feel great. I do have a couple of blisters on my left foot that probably won't let me walk right for a couple of weeks. But like, that's what comes with the Nike Blazers.
You're able to
what
tell everybody.
But guess what? I'm up now.
Mike,
Here we
seeing
go,
you
baby.
in the Kinda Funny pajama pants hiked up over your knees like capris. I was dying.
Oh man, t-shirt too small, belly out,
Oh my
Blaz.
God, this guy.
Craziness.
See
Just
you
running
in
up
the
and down
nighttime.
Man, we saw some crazy shit on the street. We saw this couple outside of a cemetery, hood light on, sucking face making out. And we ran past them and I said, oh shit. And they looked right at us and we looked at them. Awesome moment.
Sucking
awesome
face.
moment. Street Shadow with the
face.
$5 super chat says, thoughts on this? It feels like Portal could be seen as an experiment by Sony before investing in the tech. Cloud streaming for Portal in the future, Bless?
I mean, I think cloud streaming for Portal would be what would take it to the next level. I don't think this is them experimenting. Like, I think this is them being like, hey, it's another accessory, man. Like, I think it goes hand in hand with what they're trying to do with the whole PlayStation Link thing of having the earbuds, having like the Portal, having, I forget what else is included in the Link, but like
Pulse.
the
headphones.
Pulse headphones. Like, I think they just want to create this catalog of accessories to have that make PlayStation feel like a unique experience, a unique place to play. But yeah, I think if they're gonna do a Portal 2, I think then they start like experimenting with, all right, let's try having cloud be the thing, or like cloud streaming your games be the thing directly to it as opposed to having it be a remote play device.
Yeah, I'm with Bless. Like, I feel like the Portal is the device that it is designed to be, and like it's trying to reach a specific audience. But I do think that we will see what we were kind of like hoping and expecting from PlayStation at some point, simply because of where things like the Steam Deck are at. And like, I remember when the Steam machines were first announced in like 2012 or something like that. And it's like, it's going to be a PC in your living room. And it just didn't work at all. And then when they announced the Steam Deck, it's like, all right, we'll see. And they pulled it off. And once they pulled it off, then the ROG Ally came out, the Logitech G Fuel, whatever the fuck it's called. And then there's the other one that has that actually had the OLED. I forget the name of the brand that made it, but they're working. They're successes. So I feel like the tech is there. So now I just feel like it's inevitable that PlayStation will want to do that at some point.
I like that. We're going to go rapid fire here because we got a hard out at 11:30 on the dot, y'all. Shout out to my guy, Manny Bagel Boy Sanchez, who just wants to play EAFC 24 on the go. Love that for you, homie. But here it is. Max writes in and says, Tim, I'm in the market for my very first OLED. What are your recommendations? I'm considering the LG C3 or a Sony OLED, but I'm open to suggestions. Go, Tim.
Both of those are fantastic calls. What it really comes down to is the LG is going to be better for gaming by a slight margin, and the Sony will be better for movies by a slightly larger margin than that. But you're going to win either way, and honestly, like, you're going to have an amazing experience with either. I think that the gaming features of the LG series, I would probably, if you're listening to the show, I'd probably lean that way, and it's a little cheaper too.
I like that. Don't be a coward. Just buy a Vizio like the rest of us, okay? Hell yeah, Vizio. Granny Num Nums writes in with the $5 super chat and says,
Go to hell yeah, Vizio. Nanny num num.
says, Blessing, how you liking Dimension 20?
I fell off, man.
He fell off,
Yeah.
man.
I fell off.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, but I think because I wanted to try and listen to it as like a passively as a podcast, and I think if I'm gonna watch that, I need to sit down on TV and actually watch it and pay full attention to it. Yeah.
Final one, Logan writes in and says, I just want to say I agree with Andy about the definition of indie game. Baldur's Gate doesn't need more accolades that could go to a smaller game.
That's not a reason, though.
Yeah,
just because you don't
that's-
want a game that's very successful and going to win a lot of awards to win more awards doesn't change the definition of the thing. But
Yeah.
also,
Andy is right though.
we should have more heated conversations.
Yeah.
Because
That was a good
fun.
episode.
That was enjoyable.
It was very intense. I got scared for Andy and Greg that they were going to fight each other at one point.
Oh,
Yeah.
give me a
But, like, that's
timestamp
my
for
favorite
that,
kind of
Chad.
podcast.
But also,
Andy
Andy
to
was
talk
wrong.
on Titan, Greg.
Attack on Titan,
Yeah.
like climb.
Oh, man, your final
Just
episodes,
like
everybody be
shooting
watching.
these harpoon things and swinging around Greg, fucking wrapping him up,
Yeah.
punch him in the dick.
Yeah.
Chat,
Is that what they're
unfortunately-
doing in Attack on Titan?
Yeah, they be doing that. Chad, unfortunately, we do have to go. We have a very fun sponsored segment of our stream today. We're showing off a brand new game that just dropped. Me, Andy, and Greg. And then afterwards, me, Andy, are playing Halo Infinite. You can come get involved and play some games with us. We'll see you there. Goodbye, everyone.
It was the new Gamescast. Go watch the new Gamescast.